Welcome to Military 101 Part 2. Military has a long history and there's a lot that we could cover, but we'd be here for a while. Today in Part 2, we'll introduce you to the Canadian Armed Forces, or CAF, rank system, military traditions and culture, and the many acronyms, some of the many acronyms that are used by the military. My name is Natasha DeCoste, and I'm one of the deployment coordinators at the Halifax and Region Military Family Resource Center. I grew up in a military family and was a member of the Canadian Armed Forces as well. The information I'm going to share with you is from the guide Canadian Armed Forces 101 for Civilians and the Government of Canada website. Let's talk about the rank structure. It's divided into two categories, non-commissioned members and officers. Non-commissioned members, or NCMs, are recruits who, once finished the basic military qualification, BMQ, or more commonly known as basic training, take occupational training, meaning their trades training. Officers have joined the military with a university degree and are expected to demonstrate advanced leadership skills, leading the military members under their command. Rank is displayed either on the shoulder or front of the uniform. For more formal uniform dress, rank will be displayed on either the upper sleeve for NCMs, or non-commissioned members, or on the lower sleeve for the commissioned officers. Rank reflects level of ability, capability, experience, and knowledge. The higher in the rank structure, the higher in the command structure, meaning higher level of responsibility and leadership role. A formal rank structure is essential for passing orders and operations, ensuring clarity of command, and maintaining order and discipline. Going along with the rank structure, saluting is a way of showing respect. Commissioned officers are required to salute other officers that are senior to themselves. Non-commissioned members salute all officers, but not the higher-ranking non-commissioned members. Salutes, in a sense, skip the lower ranks. That's why you may see a military member salute one person but not another. As well, salutes are required when headdress is worn. I'm going to share a page from the National Defence and Canadian Armed Forces website. The website will be included on the last slide for your reference. Your screen would go blue, and now we are on the Government of Canada website and under ranks and appointments, and here you can see that there are the three elements that we spoke about in Military 101 Part 1. So we'll take a look briefly here at the Royal Canadian Air Force ranks and badges, and as you can see, as you scroll down, it shows from officers and what the ranks would look like on their uniforms, depending again on what type of uniform they would be wearing, all to junior officers, officer cadets, warrant officers, and senior non-commissioned officers, and the junior non-commissioned members, starting at aviator basic on the way up. And then there's some senior appointments, Canadian Forces Chief Warrant Officer, for example, and various appointments, drum major, pipe major, trumpet, bugle major. We can take a look at the Royal Canadian Navy ranks. Again, the page shows what they would look like on the uniform and the different roles that they would play there. The Navy has a Lieutenant Navy, Sub-Lieutenant, Acting Sub-Lieutenant, Navy cadets as well, and the non-commissioned members, and senior appointments as well. Again, appointments as on the Air Force too, drum major, pipe major, trumpet. And we'll take a quick look at the Canadian Army ranks too. Again, shows the general officers and what they would look like on their uniform. Senior officers, junior officers, to the officer cadets, warrant officers, and the senior non-commissioned officers, junior non-commissioned officers. Again, other appointments, and various appointments, drum major, pipe major, trumpet, bugler. I encourage you to explore this website. There's a lot of great information, including a section about uniforms that we'll be discussing next. So I'm going to stop sharing. Screen will go, there we go, now we're back. So last point about ranks. The MFRC is a rank-free zone and families do not wear their military member's rank. If you're with your member, you are not required to salute. As a matter of courtesy, err on the side of caution and address the military member in uniform by name and rank if you know this information. When unsure, sir or ma'am will be okay. Most times, the member will let you know how they'd like to be addressed. All right, there's a few uniforms that you may see your member wearing. Ceremonial dress is worn during military ceremonies and parades. Navy ceremonial and service dress include white clothing items. Medals can be worn with ceremonial dress, which here the pictures might look a little small, but these are the ceremonial dress. Mess dress is worn for formal evening functions such as mess dinners. Medals can also be worn with mess dress, which is the next along the pictures. Service dress is worn for daily duty and travel and is suitable for most occasions. Service dress here. Operational dress is worn during operations. These might be the ones that you see more often. The Navy wears combat dress, the Air Force wears flight suits, and the Army wears field combat dress, also known as CADPAD, or Canadian Disruptive Pattern. The picture on the slide here, on the right of the slide, shows the CADPAD, or Canadian Disruptive Pattern. The picture here that my pointer is pointing at is the old olive green uniform. This information, again, is taken from the Canadian Armed Forces 101 for civilians, and just hasn't been updated to include the CADPAD. And this picture, again, of CADPAD is Lieutenant Colonel, taken in 2004. The photo credit is Sergeant Frank Hudek from Canadian Forces Combat Camera. Members of authorized occupations wear occupational dress when they are engaged in specific activity. So, for example, divers, search and rescue, or pilots would wear specific uniforms for their specific tasks. So these trades, of course, need the specific gear, the scuba tanks, firefighting equipment, or flight suits. The Canadian Rangers uniform is a red sweatshirt and red baseball cap or toque. They are provided specific gear such as winter clothing depending on their patrol area. One last thing about uniforms, the headdress worn also differs depending on the uniform worn and will include a cap badge that indicates the member's branch, unit, or regiment. Right here on the top of the cap badge. Most often members will wear a beret in the color of their element. There are some exceptions, such as scarlet for military police as seen on the slide, or maroon for the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, or PPCLI. When in ceremonial dress, the Air Force will wear a wedge, and the Navy will wear a peak cap. And this slide shows a few of the points we've already mentioned about uniforms. And who knew there was so much to know about a uniform? A couple of other military culture pieces are messes and drills. So messes are facilities where functions and events take place, such as social activities or dinners. There are different messes for different ranks. You may hear the words junior ranks or officers mess, which specifies which members attend which mess. You'll see military drill during parades, such as on Remembrance Day, or when members receive promotions. A military drill is about teamwork and moving everyone in an orderly and efficient way. You'll hear specific instructions being called out in order to do this, such as eyes right, or eyes front, or halt. The members in the picture on the right of the screen are standing easy. They are not able to move their feet or talk, but can adjust their clothing and relax a little bit. So you've heard some acronyms so far, such as NCM, BMQ, and CAF. There are thousands that the military uses, so we won't be going through them all or else we'd be here for days. There are some that you may hear more often that we'll introduce you to. So we'll start on the left-hand side at the top. So COC, or chain of command, is the sequence of leaders that commands and tasks are communicated by. PER is a personnel evaluation record. So these are evaluations and appraisals that the member receives throughout their career. Dependence, furniture, and effect, DF&E. This is what they classify when a member is required to move or be posted. HQ, headquarters, is a central location for members to access their orderly room, which is right across there, their orderly room, as well as other functions. SOP, standard operating procedures, are rules and regulations to guide by. Bravo Zulu, BZ, is given when someone has done a good job. The MIR, or the medical inspection room, is essentially the medical clinic for members. HMCS is Her Majesty's Canadian Ship. PLQ, primary leadership qualifications, are courses members go on to receive training at different times during their careers. And MARLANT and MARPAC are Maritime Forces Atlantic or Maritime Forces Pacific. Up at the top. Next column, CFB, or Canadian Forces Base. So you'll hear perhaps Canadian Forces Base Halifax, Canadian Forces Base Gold Lake. 2IC is second in command. So again, we talked about the chain of command earlier. A 2IC would be the person to go to who's making decisions and giving direction. OI is company or part of a unit. OR, orderly room, as I mentioned, most times it is within a headquarters, and that's where members would receive and submit various types of paperwork. DAG is Departure Assistance Group. This is the process of preparing for a deployment. Members are required to have various things checked off on their list before they are considered ready to deploy. NOK is next of kin. So this is the person listed on the member's point of contact in case of an emergency. MFRC, Military Family Resource Center, mentioned earlier, and we provide programs and services for military members and their families living in the military lifestyle. This is a field regiment, again, just an acronym units within the Army use. CIFMAP is Canadian Forces Members Assistance Program, and they offer confidential, voluntary, and short-term counseling by trained counselors to assist with many of today's stresses at home and in the workplace. So regular force members and their immediate family members, spouse, partner, and dependent children of the member have direct access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through CIFMAP. For reserve force members and their family members to receive full assistance under the CIFMAP program, the situation or issue that they're calling about must be directly linked to service in the Canadian Armed Forces. And PSP is Personnel Support Programs and offer various fitness and health and rec programs. So those are just some of them. They can be a little tricky, but now if your military member mentions any of these when talking to you, you can surprise them by giving them the definition. The next in Military 101 Part 3 will introduce you to the military member, the military family, as well as resources available to military families. If you have any questions, please contact me at the email on the screen, and thanks for joining me today.